chasing a feeling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. This is your host, Tara Martini, along with Becky McNadden. We're glad to have you listening as we live and share stories of mental health.
Tara, you and I had another show planned for today.
We did.
And we put that aside for now because Minnesota, where we both live, has experienced tragedy. As our listeners very well know, a woman was shot and killed in South Minneapolis by immigration agents. And there were people present for this. It was recorded from many different angles. Videos have been circulated on news outlets, social media, really everywhere. And the impact of this event is probably beyond our sense of understanding right this moment. With this immediacy, you and I as therapists had our own feelings about it that we were feeling and experiencing. We had clients who shared intense emotions, and we all have been immersed in the collective experience. And our show is about mental wellness and is literally called Feels Out Loud. So we have to talk about what has happened and the impact to our mental health.
We do.
Sometimes on the show, we seek to educate. Sometimes we seek to explore a new topic. Sometimes we want to highlight strategy or tools. But today, we want to be with. Feels Out Loud is a show committed to sharing what it means to be connected to ourselves and others. And we want people to actually feel out loud and express themselves in meaningful and healthy ways with the world around them. So we are doing just that. We're recognizing that societal trauma has unfolded and is unfolding, and there are emotions tied to this experience for all of us. If you are a listener out there who is tuning into this episode and you feel despair, rage, bitterness, fear, loneliness, isolation, hopelessness, grief, sadness, numbness, we hear you. We hear you. You are not alone in the emotions that we are going to process today. And listeners, you have sent us questions and thoughts about what you're feeling, and we are highlighting those through the entire show. Because connection, I want you to hear me all when I say this, connection is critical in crisis. Tara, what would you say your thoughts are on this?
Everything you just said, including it was astonishing yesterday because yesterday was my virtual day where I saw clients virtually, and they ranged in age, so children to adults. And I was obviously very sensitive about, I didn't bring it up directly to my younger clients because with children, you have to be very careful, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that today.
Yes, about bringing something like that up. And so I always make sure I start with, is there anything, heavy on your mind today? Just to see what they come up with. And fascinating, and we know fascinating, you can say that when you're also have a negative connotation around it. Fascinating how even the smallest of children were impacted, by it. And how they also responded in a very black and white way of, yes, I'm feeling happy today. There was a woman who was murdered. Another one, would say there was a woman that was shot. And then describing their emotions around it. My biggest takeaway from yesterday was I was so astonished and dumbfounded that this was their world. They're children.
Yeah.
Younger than 18. Right?
Right.
Sadly, I have grown accustomed to talking about this with our adult clients and our coworkers and family and friends. But I will never get over the fact that we have conversations like this with children.
Yeah. And an important topic here. Remember, everyone, connection is critical in crisis, and we're focusing on that today. We're going to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned as we further talk about how to process emotions when life feels like despair runs rampant, as you just said. Thank you for listening. We will be back in just a moment.
You gotta find the people. Express yourself.
Welcome back to Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. I am Tara Martini with Becky McNatten. Let's dive right back into our discussion on the impact of what has occurred in Minnesota recently.
I started saying a long time ago, you've heard me say this many times, Tara, I have no idea how we do the things we do or how we get through things. And I've been a therapist for a long time, and I've said many times as a therapist that if a situation occurs in our life and that situation becomes past tense, which time does that,
Mhm.
so a moment becomes a past moment
Mhm.
at some point, we actually know how the moments unfolded. We can share them. But how often do we hear, how did you do it?
Right.
Or we even ask ourselves, how did I do that?
Right.
I was just having this conversation with someone about this very thing very recently. And what's fascinating about that is we still don't have an answer. Someone can ask us that. We can know how the unfolding went, and we don't have an answer to that. So that's incredible to me. We're dedicating this show to a lot of how related questions and statements. And that's important. But I wanted to highlight to our listeners today that I've come to see as a therapist that we don't necessarily know the how.
We don't.
Even when we know how something went.
Right.
And that sometimes, in addition to thinking about how, we need to think about who.
Mhm.
Our show is so focused on the who as well.
Yeah.
Who are the people we process with? Who are the people we feel with?
Mhm.
And today, we want to offer that forum publicly. We are just exposing it today to say that every listener of this show, you are joined. Sometimes we have no idea or clue how we get through moments, but we have capacity to build and nurture our who. And even through the microphone, I'm sitting here through the microphone.
Yes.
I want you to know that Tara and me and the entire group at Becoming Together is part of your who. Allowing ourselves to have big emotions with this who is essential in healthy processing.
Mhm.
And we have to let ourselves feel, because as we have said on this show so many times, your body holds it.
Right.
It holds it. And
It
it
does.
probably is right now, everyone. It's okay if the feels are raw too. They are for me today. And you and I just said they're for you too.
Oh, yes, they are.
But rawness can be a space of meaningful vulnerability in bringing someone else into that rawness. What would you say?
Absolutely. Well, I think the beautiful thing is that in so many ways, your who can turn into your how.
Oh, well said. Yes.
And we want that to be maybe the case today. And we sat down for 2 seconds before we went on air, and we talked about, like, this is the first time we've done a show where we're both very raw.
Mhm.
And I said, like, oh my goodness, like, the strength to do a show when I said, I'm so tired of our world.
Mhm.
But that just gives you more reason to do a show like this.
Mhm.
And it's the rawness, and which brings out the beauty of it, in that we're human beings.
Mhm.
Are we going to be able to get through this show without tears? I don't know. Right. Um, it, but I also want everyone to remember and remind ourselves, like, they need to see us as human beings. And I feel like we show that every day, every week on our show.
Mhm.
But this is another reminder of, oh my goodness,
Mhm.
what would we be doing if we didn't? It would be a disservice if we didn't talk about this today.
Mhm.
If we talked about some random topic that didn't have anything to do this, then what's the point of our show?
Well, and we're committed to
It
being
wouldn't be
real.
authentic.
We say authenticity and realness matter, and
Yep.
so we're showing up as real.
Yeah.
It's so important to allow our emotions spaces where we can share them effectively and intentionally. We don't need to
No.
stay in a heady space. That's actually not authenticity, and tell ourselves why we shouldn't share. But we also need to avoid emotions driving actions that we would regret later.
Absolutely.
And so recognizing the duality of that, giving space for emotion to be processed and expressed in healthy ways, effective ways,
Mhm.
To our listeners who have reached out to us,
Mm.
wow, from your own spaces of feeling raw, this is really where they've reached out to us. These emotions you've highlighted that we're going to talk through are valid. They are important. They are owed space. And Tara and I, we're going to talk through what people have said to us. Some are just statements, and we're going to process them. Some are direct questions. Collective processing here, everybody. And some of these are probably things that, as you sit there and listen, you have felt yourself. I do think that so often when we're willing to express vulnerability with people, we realize we have many shared experiences.
But the thing that I think is so incredible that we're doing and that you initiated is this collective processing, because what we're all experiencing is collective trauma.
Yeah.
And so what better way to address that than to process together, and that I can, before I even look at the comments that people have submitted or questions they've asked, I can guarantee you that a listener out there right now is feeling or asking the same questions. And so that hopefully today, through this experience, you feel connected to the collective.
To the collective. Yep. We heard today, hope feels like it isn't even worth it. Why even believe that life could get better? And wow, do I feel that too. Hope is this concept that I've always thought of as we don't know all the knowing yet.
No, thank goodness we don't.
We don't know all the knowing yet. Yeah. And I think I've said on the show before that is part of what has kept me here in this space, in this life, that I don't know all the knowing yet. But what I hear this listener saying is, but what if the knowing just seems like doom? What if hope about I might know more is something else I don't even want to know? And hopelessness is heavy. Thoughts?
Hopelessness is the heaviest thing in the world. And to their question of why even believe that life could get better, we've said this numerous times on our show, and thank goodness this is a fact, that everything is temporary. So why even believe that life could get better? Well, we know everything's temporary. So this hopelessness that you feel is temporary. And please trust us when we say, you will not feel that way forever. You will not feel hopelessness forever. Life will get better.
Yeah. Change. It will change.
It will change.
This moment will not stay the same moment, which sometimes in that, and this leads to another comment we got, that we feel like the moment we're in will be forever. And we do have to have that innate trust that it won't. It won't be. Someone else said, I am devastated and I want to simultaneously rage against the world and curl in a ball.
Don't we all?
And I thought this was so beautifully put, because it speaks to exhaustion. You said, I'm so sick of our world. You said that a minute ago. While also an energy. I want to rage against the world. And to this listener who's feeling this way or highlighting this paradox, you're sitting amidst a living paradox inside you of maybe the most energy. You want to rage is a very energy filled emotion, while also complete depletion.
Right. And rage also, I think, as you said, is that, active thing in your body, which also, in my mind, when you're feeling rage, you want to actively engage in something.
Yeah.
That action behind it. Where when you want to just disappear and curl in a ball, that's that inactive state.
Good point.
Where I just want to disappear and I don't want to do anything. So it's also looking at, when we talk later in the show, is when you're feeling that rage, when you're feeling that anger, is I want to act on that. Well, how can we act on that in a healthy way? Because that is where, when it comes to anger and those things, and we talk about it as a secondary emotion, what can we do about it? And we'll get to that.
Well, let's go there.
Well, let's do that.
Someone
right
said,
now.
I am angry. All caps. This was all caps. I am angry. I am so angry. I can't even see straight. I'm so mad.
I don't blame you.
And I resonate with this so much. I will share personally. I got in my car. I parked in a parking lot. I turned on my most rage-filled song. I said this to you.
Mhm.
What I call rage belting
Mhm.
this song, and I like kind of spewed my thoughts and emotions.
Mhm.
One, because when we talk about how to express it in ways that are healthy to a person, sometimes we have people in our world that are safe to just hear it,
Mhm.
or can tolerate that. Sometimes that may be hurtful for someone
Mhm.
to bear witness to. So I just gave myself the space. I gave myself an opportunity to kind of be seen or validated in music, which is a thing for me, a
Mhm.
tool for me, and I let it out.
Yep.
So in my first thought in this for the person who says, I am so angry, let yourself be angry.
Mhm.
Validate that. Validate it.
Don't hold it in.
Don't hold it in. There could be spaces like a person who you say, can I talk to you?
Mhm.
Can I even like just spew or
Mhm.
purge something?
Can I
Um,
yell?
can I yell? But we don't have to do it. You and I've talked about this on the
Yep.
show. We don't have to do it with someone
Right.
to let the emotion out.
Mhm. And I think you bring up such an important part is that when people say, well, how do I do that in a healthy way? Think about what works for you.
Hmm.
Becky, you are a lover of music. You've talked about it several times in the show how you have morning dance parties in your
Yep.
car, or you will send our team, a song to play for the day.
Yep.
Music is your thing.
Yep.
So, what did you do when you were feeling anger? You went and played a rageful song and you let it out.
Yep.
So, let's say you are an athlete and you play baseball. You are feeling that anger. Go to a batting cage or go in your backyard or whatever it is. Release that anger through your body
Hmm.
by going and hitting some balls,
Hmm.
right? Um, take your thing, whatever that is,
Yeah.
and go for it.
Yep.
You're a singer, go belt out
Yep.
some words.
Yep.
Whatever those things are. You're an artist. I do this with clients all the time is you'll create pieces of art and it doesn't have to be this delicate, beautiful little thing,
Hmm.
right? Splash some paint on the thing or grind that pencil or marker into that paper.
Hmm.
The key that you'll notice that we're talking about this universal is releasing
Right.
that anger through your body because this is a somatic thing.
Yep. And it's a way of the goal here isn't to not feel anger. The
Right.
goal is
Feel
to give
it.
anger a space.
Yes.
And I want to be intentional about saying that out loud because so often we think we need to get rid of anger.
Mhm.
When I think in actuality, we need to respond to it that it matters.
Mhm.
It makes sense. If you're angry right now, that emotion makes sense to me. I am too.
Yep.
So let's give it like a proper outlet to be expressed. And I love how you highlight default to whatever your thing is already. You maybe know. If you're an exerciser, that might be your thing. If you're a talker, that might be your thing.
Mhm.
But go to what your strategies already are for whenever you're processing something, and use it with an intention then to say, I'm going to give anger a space.
It's fascinating you bring this up because when we got notice of changing up the show for today, and I was at the vet, and I was quickly researching, and I was looking at, because I'm drawn to history, so I was looking at past like collective trauma and things like that. And one thing when I was teaching historical things as a teacher, I had always been drawn to the posters and the signs that are popular nowadays where it was like, keep calm and carry on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I'm looking today as I'm researching for this very quickly. Um, I looked at it and the article popped up about how that was such a negative thing
Mm.
that was promoted in that time period because collective trauma due to the war, they were saying just keep calm and carry on.
Mm.
And it just hit me.
Mm.
It was telling everyone, don't feel your feels.
Yeah.
Just stay calm. Keep moving. No one said to them, be angry.
Yeah.
Feel your feels.
Mm-hmm.
So no wonder we had all these people suffering
Mhm.
and there was nowhere for them to go
That's
with
a
their
really good point,
feelings.
because part of and part of what we're talking about this on the show, when we feel out loud, that doesn't mean only verbally.
Mhm.
So when you and I are talking about feel and then insert any emotion into the blank there, feel blank out loud, that means let it have space.
Mhm.
It could be
Honor it.
it could be writing about it. It could
Yep.
be actually in silence.
Yep.
But you are expressing it and giving it an opportunity to be named and then to be known by
Mhm.
you. We had someone who said, I've been super silent with everyone in my life, almost like I've tuned everyone out. Is that okay? Well, of course, Tara and I are going to say to this listener, is that okay? Yes.
Yes.
However you are is okay. That's unconditional
Mhm.
regard for however you're showing up. My question back to this person, if they're feeling like this, is does that resonate with what you might need?
Mhm.
First, let the moment be the moment. You've been silent and you've tuned everyone out. Sometimes we do have to disconnect,
Mhm.
and that's important. Is that what processing is for you?
Right.
Would be a question.
Yep. It's the difference between, are you isolating? Are you silent because you're processing? Is it because you simply don't know what to say or do? We have, like a lot of places, we have a group text,
Mhm.
with our coworkers. Um, Everybody was feeling the feels. I didn't respond
Yeah.
with my own words.
Yeah.
Um, I sent something to the group, a video. I'm usually a talker,
Mhm.
as everyone knows, because I just didn't have the words.
Yep.
Um, so I was similar to that
Mhm.
listener.
Mhm.
It wasn't because I didn't care or because I didn't have the time or anything like that. It was just I really didn't have the words and I to respond to such a
Mhm.
tragedy.
Right. Well, and that leads to what super silent with everyone in their life. That might be a shared experience to someone else who
Mm,
said, "I feel numb."
yes.
This person said, "I feel numb, like I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Is this normal?"
Yep.
So this person was reaching out to us asking, um, is this kind of what someone might experience in this moment?
Mhm.
So the super silent person might also be feeling kind of numb. And that
Yes.
happens in a trauma response.
Yep.
That your body just goes into a space. It doesn't stay there,
Hmm.
but it can go into that space. And we've talked about that on previous shows. So yes, of course it's normal that you feel numb.
Hmm. You feel numb. Also, the person who says, I can't cry.
Yes.
I want to cry, but I can't cry. Along those lines of when we're in shock, when we feel numb, you can sit here and go, wait, we also have an expectation for ourselves, I think.
Good
When
point.
we experience trauma or witness a tragedy, well, the human response is you should be devastated and sad.
Hmm.
You should be crying,
Right.
right? You should be screaming. So then, wait, but I'm not crying. Wait, I actually don't feel anything. I'm feeling numb.
Hmm.
What's wrong with me?
Hmm.
Nothing's wrong with you. Sometimes your body is so overcome with all the things, you just feel numb because your mind is saying, nope, this is all too much.
Hmm.
We're just going to feel numb right now
Hmm.
because we can't do all the things right now.
Right. It's this responding to ourselves with a kindness and compassion,
Yeah.
that whatever expectations we ascribe are expectations we ascribed, and
Yep.
and be nice to us about that too. But here's where we are,
Mhm.
and that it's okay that that's where you sit.
And give yourself some grace, is what you're saying. Like,
Yes.
just give yourself grace.
Hmm.
There is no proper way to respond to a tragedy.
Well said.
Well, we all just need to believe it, though.
Hmm. And then respect other people for whatever it is that they might be doing too, if it's different
Yes.
from us, because
Yes.
this concept of immediate grief, how we
Mhm.
absorb shock,
Yep.
everyone is going to have a slightly different default setting here,
Mhm.
where they aren't necessarily cognating how they're responding. So they're doing it. And with a compassion to other people of, if you're a feeler who went to an angry place and then you say to yourself, well, so-and-so isn't responding at all to me, be kind and grace-filled to the other as well.
Right. And this is like our motto, I feel like, for the show is lead with compassion and not judgment. And so remembering that we all respond differently. We all grieve differently. We all respond to trauma differently. And so leading with compassion and just not leading with judgment.
We had someone ask us, where can I place fear?
Oh, honey.
And I do not know what to say to that.
I don't either. I was just going to say, wow, I'm waiting for Becky's response because I don't know.
My raw response to this person, because these are the questions that came to us, we are showing up real today. My raw response to this person is, maybe instead of placing it, you asked me where to place it, give it a hug. So put it with love. What would it look like to give fear a hug today? In this moment, while you are feeling it, if you can say, well, how is fear showing up? What does it look like to respond to fear with love? Not only where can I put it in a intellectualized space, or I can't tell you to not feel afraid. That would be ridiculous of you and I.
Yeah.
That, well, just don't feel that way. And we do that all the time. We say, well, such and such is this way. And if you feel it, maybe put it in the hands of a hug and think about how those actions would look. What do you think?
It makes me want to cry.
Yeah. Well, if we did that more often with all the things, how different our circumstance would be. But that's what I would say to that listener. We had a lot of questions around, and I kind of lumped this into, how do I talk to my kids about what is going on? And there were all sorts of offshoots about this on how do I process my own emotions?
Yeah.
Do I need to process my own emotions before I talk to my kids about their emotions? And all sorts of things that I first want to back up before that and say to our listeners that we want to, in spaces of helplessness, we want to move into action a lot. We want to say, 100%. What do I need to do? How do I need to do that? Tell me the steps.
And I'll do it.
Yeah, because what we don't want to feel is distress.
Right.
And so a little bit of what we're saying is, this is distressing. That trauma needs to have space to be trauma. And so we can't task our way out of that. But I did hear how do I talk to my kids?
Right.
How do I process? I hear the how in that. I run into that too. You and I both have kids. And some of this is knowing our children.
Yes.
And often you and I have talked about, well, we have to be regulated in order to hold someone else's dysregulation, or at least recognize our own dysregulation.
For sure. Anytime that you're dealing with children, if that, I would say, is one of the biggest tips you can give any parent or adult, is we need to be regulated, or at least pretend, fake it till you make it.
So I would say avoiding superlatives, that kids are so wise. They're incredibly wise and very attuned. So things like life will be okay, or those don't necessarily mean anything.
Well, because they open their phone or they turn on the TV and they see that life is not okay. This is not a time to fib or create a utopia for your child. This is a time to be real and honest.
But one
developmentally appropriate, obviously.
Yeah, one thought that I have is also helping your kid figure out what is their default thing that helps them process emotion.
Yes.
That helps them identify emotion.
Yep.
So as a parent, in saying, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? What questions do you have? Let them and help them identify, what are those spaces for them? Is it music for them? Is it journaling for them? You talk about art projects. Is it that for them? And then give them that outlet to think about what they're and feel what they're feeling.
Well, and I always say too, first, before you even do any of that, ask your child, well, what do you know?
Mhm.
Right? Because their narrative or their perspective, you have no idea what they're coming with
Mhm.
to you. It's also important because you don't want to give them too much information, right? Because you do have to be sensitive about their age.
Mhm.
And so first be curious.
Mhm.
Like, well, what do you know about this situation? Or what do you know about the state of everything right now?
Mhm.
Find out what they know. It also empowers them a little bit, like, whoa, they're seeking information from me.
Yep.
And so find out what they know. And then that you can choose your path from there
Mhm.
as far as like, whoa, they're very informed, or, oh, this is all opinion based. That's very different than if they know a ton of facts.
Right. And of course, because we're therapists,
Yeah.
we would probably say focus on process and not content.
Exactly.
So focus on what is it like to hear the information you're hearing? How
Mhm.
does that feel to hear the information
And
you're
where
hearing?
they're hearing it from.
Yeah, what's it like to see an image? What does that make you
Yep.
feel in your body?
Yep.
And where do you feel that in their
Where?
body?
Yep.
So rather than how do I talk to my kids about content, would love if part of the discussion is also how am I absorbing it?
Yep.
That's process. And doing that for ourselves too, thinking about what is it like for me?
Mhm.
What is it like for me? If you write that down, if you say it out loud to someone else, if that's the question you ask another person in being curious about their processing, that it isn't only about sharing what is occurring.
Mhm.
It's about sharing the impact of what's
The
occurring.
experience. And going off of what Becky just said is, so where are you feeling it? Okay, what are you feeling? And also think about the intensity. Like, you want to know if your kid is like, oh, like a 1 out of 10. Like, 1 is just like, I hear this. Oh, yeah, that's a bummer.
Mhm.
To 10, oh my gosh, like they can barely function,
Mhm.
right? Kind of gauge where they're at. Ask them, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, and you're experiencing this in your body, where are you at, sweetie, with this?
Yeah.
Because that's important too, to help you know like what path you're going to take when helping your kiddo process this.
Right. Beautiful. Like that's insight. That's
Mhm.
self-awareness. We had someone ask us, is it better to wait until I understand my emotions to share them? And this was a really
Such a good
thoughtful
point.
question
Yeah.
because sometimes the answer is yes.
Mhm.
Sometimes is if I understand what I'm feeling, I can ask someone
Mhm.
assertively for what I need. I can reflect maybe more accurately what's going on for me. But is it better? No. I do think that there is space for both.
Yeah.
And in the moment of where we sit right now, it's okay to not understand your emotions.
Mhm.
And sometimes they can't be understood. That brings us back to I don't
Yes.
know how I got through that.
Yep.
Uh, sometimes we actually have to suspend understanding
Mhm.
and say, I'm just going to be in them. They don't have to make sense.
Right.
The
There are
fact that
some
they don't
things
make
that
sense.
won't. There's some
Yes.
things that will never. There are things, and I've said this before, I believe on the show we've discussed it. I said in a text to someone last night, I don't understand how human beings can do this to other human beings.
Mm,
I'll never understand that question, that statement. Um, my mind will never and heart will never grasp that.
yeah.
That is something that will always remain a mystery.
Hmm.
The emotions that come along with that will also always remain a mystery, and I'll never fully grasp it or understand.
Hmm.
Um, and I know that. And so it's the same thing, that there are just some emotions out there for various reasons that we may never understand.
Right.
But oh my goodness, I need to let those out and
Hmm.
I need to express them and share them
Hmm.
without me understanding.
And the power of being validated by people who say, "Wow, I feel the same way,"
Yeah.
or "I'm noticing that too." There's something that does.
Yeah.
That by itself is joining and healing.
Yeah, it's beyond comprehension.
Hmm.
We aren't supposed to know what that's like because we're not capable.
So we had several people actually who asked us things around, I want to show up for people in my life. I want to tell people that I'm thinking about them right now. How do I do that? How do I do that? And I am so glad that this is happening, because this is someone who's saying, I want to ask some questions. I want to, maybe they are our kids, but maybe they're our siblings, maybe they're our neighbors. I love the question of how do I do that? Well, my first thought with this person who's asking this question is balancing your own grief with supporting the needs of others, recognizing that how you show up to the moment is how you show up to the moment. And so it isn't only about showing up for people in your life. It has to be about showing up for you too. They have to happen simultaneously.
Right.
So those are factors that we could probably do an entire show on.
I was just going to say in episode 2. Yeah.
But my very simple response to this person, how do you do that? Ask them. Ask people a question of how are you right now? And I want to hear the real answer. Or model by reflecting something. Just say a statement about how you are in this moment, and see what they say. You can also literally just tell people you're thinking about them.
Yep. And what you just said, the last part of the question is the most key part of it, is because we all say, how are you? But it's how are you right now? And then you also rephrased it and said, how are you in this moment? Those are the most important parts, because rarely do people ask someone, how are you in this moment? Or how are you right now?
Yeah, we did a whole show on how are you?
Yes. That's the important part, because then it gives them the opportunity. It's like, oh.
And when we say we're thinking of somebody, this person says, I want to tell people I'm thinking about them.
Yeah.
Tell them you're thinking about them without an expectation of even receiving something back.
Right.
So often when we have an interaction with a person, you and I have mentioned this earlier in the show, this is collective trauma. So people are all in various default spaces of responding to shock and grief.
Right.
If we are offering grace, we can tell someone I'm thinking about you. They may not respond. Let's go back to the person who feels silent. Let's go back to the person who feels numb. Let's go back to the person who feels anger and they say, I'm so angry right now. If I respond to you, I'm going to say something that I don't want to, or that I'll regret later. So don't have to, or try to hold any expectation of what you might receive back from someone when you say that you're thinking about them. If you want to show up for people, show up and then let it be.
And if you don't have the capacity to show up for others, that's okay too.
That's okay too. That's part of when we talk about balancing our own grief with supporting needs of others. This is really hard to do. It's being aware of ourselves in the moment while we're also getting called to action. We feel the anger rage against the world and curling up in a ball at the same time. It's that same paradoxical experience of, I want to show up for other people and I need to recognize what's going on for me. And if I don't know what that is, but that really is important. And how we balance that, for some people, they'll go into action first and they're like, I just got to focus on me later.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. Some people have to retreat very internally, unplug, distance themselves from the world. And that's how they balance that. But the fact that they're thinking about it, putting an intention to it and understanding and knowing, oh, I need to balance this. I need to balance this.
Yep. So important.
We've had people ask us, things about, what if I don't have safe people in my life to talk to? How can I turn my feelings into actions that will matter? My goodness, these are big questions. So big. Is there a way? We had someone ask us, is there a way we can identify feelings? We had someone say, and I'm going to end the segment this way because we won't get to the questions. These are like philosophical questions. How do people do their regular life? How can I just go to work and sit in meetings and act like life is normal? Is that normal? Too simple to carry on? To simply carry on? I hear you. Focus on the feelings first.
Yes.
We're validating and acknowledge feelings first. And tons to talk about here. We're going to take a break and talk through some more listener questions. When we come back after this segment, Feels Out Loud will be back in just a moment.
You got to find your people, then you'll find yourself. You got to find
We are back again with Feels Out Loud, and this is part of the show where we talk through questions from you all, our listeners. If you have a question related to mental wellness, sharing feelings, or our topics for each week that you would like us to process through, please visit our website at becomingtogethermn.com and find the Feels Out Loud page to submit a question directly, or email us at contact@becomingtogethermn.com. Of course, follow us on social media as well. We really do want to hear from you and what you are wondering about.
And thank you to the listeners. We talked about this in the last segment too, who have reached out to us. We wanted to focus this short part of the show on a specific type of question, on action.
Yes.
For those who are feeling like there is an energy behind doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard a lot about this in the last couple of days. I don't mean only social activism here, although props to anybody who's doing that. I mean emotional activism. I'm like coining my own term here.
I was just going to say, we may have listeners going, what is that?
Emotional activism. When we all are feeling intense emotion, how can we show up for one another? This is a collective experience. How can we show up for one another? And we had someone ask us, what can I do to create spaces for people, including myself, to be vulnerable and express emotion? That is emotional activism, everyone. So if you want to join in an action, that is a space of control you have. How to show up for expressing and processing emotion. What would you say, Tara?
Well, I think we in our job, this is what we do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is thinking outside of that if you are sitting there and you have, you are a sister, wife, aunt, friend, whatever you are. It is, okay, how can I naturally show up for my people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what is one thing I can do? It's overwhelming, right? Because you wear all these hats. So break it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
To each hat
Good
you
point.
have, right? So I am a sister. So what can I do for my siblings to show emotional activism?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's less daunting because what you're going to do for each facet or hat that you wear is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And then just take it one at a time. And you don't have to do this all in one day.
Right. Well, I love what you're saying. And it's going to look perhaps a little unique to the roles you have in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have lots of roles. You
Mm-hmm.
talk about this as hats. So then that almost deems the action. If you
Mm-hmm.
think about the role first, you think
Yep.
about, how do I know that relationship?
Mm-hmm.
What is that relationship like? Do I already do some things in that relationship? And in terms of creating space to be vulnerable, one of my thoughts is, well, ask a question,
Mm-hmm.
ask someone from a space of true authenticity
Mhm.
that you want to know the answer as well. And then don't speak.
Yes.
Don't turn the situation into something that's occurred for you
Mhm.
immediately, because then we've shifted. If we create spaces of vulnerability by being good listeners, by practicing what that real raw listening looks like. So if someone trusts that they can show up with an emotion to you, they will share with you.
Mm-hmm.
But that takes time. As you said, this doesn't happen necessarily in one day. We don't all of a sudden say, well, I created a safe space for everyone to feel vulnerable in my life. No, this is a process. But I love the idea of this person saying, this is a spot of control that I do have. It brings us back to the very start of the show when we say, we maybe don't know how, but we do know who.
Mm-hmm.
Or we have at least a space of responsibility to cultivate and nurture our who. So I can do this for the world around me.
Right.
There's a lot I can't do. I am very helpless, which is what leads to the hopelessness and the anger and the despair.
Which is what a lot of people are feeling right now.
Yes. So we can practice listening. We can ask a question about how someone might be doing. And then, as you said, think about in that role how we're already showing up for them,
Mm-hmm.
and do more of that.
Yep. Do more.
We're at the end of our show already for today. Thank you for listening and joining us this morning, everyone, as we process this topic. And join us next week. But before that, in the week ahead, be kind to yourself. You have a lot going on. Remember that connection fosters wellness, and your voice is one the world around you needs to hear. Share yourselves, friends.
Some don't, some will.